Today we're going to draw a realistic owl. Use a cloth dipped in graphite powder to smudge in some random contrasts in the background. We want to keep the background out of focus, so we have to ensure that we've got no hard edges there. If you do have any hard edges, just soften them out by brushing over them with a soft brush. Any areas that need to go lighter, you can lighten them up by tapping with a kneaded eraser. At the end of the day, what you're trying to achieve is a soft, mottled effect. You can now use your cloth to lay in some basic tonal values on the owl. And this will give you a good feel for where each feature on the owl is positioned. If you're scared you're going to lose any of your edges, then lift those out as you work using your pen-shaped eraser. I like to start at the center of the face and then work my way outwards. But with this drawing, it doesn't matter, you can start anywhere. To draw the feather effect, you will need a very sharp point on your pencil. I'm using a chisel shaped point, as this keeps my point sharper for longer. Start off by drawing in the dark feathers using a stabbing or a chopping motion, and then lift out the lighter feathers using your pen shaped eraser and a flicking or a chopping motion. Gradually make your way up the forehead towards the back of the head, alternating between the pencil and the eraser. As you work your way backwards, you'll notice that the dark feathers appear lighter and lighter. So to recreate those tonal values, press lighter and lighter on the pencil. You can also change to a harder and harder pencil to get the same lightening effect. I also want you to notice that I point to the place on the reference photo that I'm drawing in. This allows me to draw more accurately and more quickly, as I don't have to keep figuring out where am I in the drawing. For the ear, you can use a long flicking motion to draw and erase these hairs. If your erased hairs don't have enough contrast to stand out against the background, then carefully darken the background by drawing in between these hairs and then shading that color out away from the ear. Just be very careful that you now don't create a halo effect around your ears. For the eyes, block in the pupil and the ring of the eye using a 6 or an 8B pencil, and then just add a basic shading to the iris to indicate the eyebrow casts a shadow. Notice that I erase a few overlapping feathers to indicate distance between the eye and the eyebrow. To show the ring of feathers around the eye, concentrate on getting the contrasts correct. You will see that the feathers are much longer in this area, so use a longer flicking motion to draw them. What's really important here is that you get the directions of these hairs correct. They must radiate outwards at right angles to the eye. For the beak, start at the tip, as that area is the most defined. Then negatively draw the overlapping feathers, being careful to leave that lovely reflection on the beak. This completes the hardest part of the owl. As the face is the focal point, we won't add as much detail to the wings and the body. We'll simply suggest some detail in those areas. To do this, start by scribbling in the dark markings on the feathers. Don't try to get these marking positions perfect. Remember, each owl is unique. You can also see that I'm not trying to draw a feather effect. These are really rough and quick scribbles. To simulate the feather effect, we're going to erase some lines in between these darker markings and also flick in some lines in between these darker markings. And once you've done that, stand back to see where do you need to lighten and darken the tonal values over the body and the wings to show their shape and their rounding correctly. Now we can get that tie-in area between the face and the body right by adding these light little fluffy feathers that overlap the body. To get their highlights, I've used a kneaded eraser and tapped in those highlights. The kneaded eraser gives us a more softer edge than the pen-shaped eraser does. Then use a darker pencil and a sharp flicking effect to show the shadows cast by these feathers. It's that little shadow that makes the head stand up off the body. We can now complete the drawing by adding a few flyaway feathers at the edges of the bird, as well as by lifting out the reflections of the sun on the owl's eyes. So I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. If you have, please like the video and leave me a comment below. Also, don't forget to subscribe for more tutorials.